This is the updated Kia EV6. It's the high-tech, sophisticated sibling to the Hyundai IONIQ 5.
How do these two cars compare on price? The EV6 starts at around 45 grand for the Air trim and goes up to around 57 grand for the GT Line S trim, like the car we have today. By comparison, the IONIQ 5 starts at a smidge under £40,000. That's a hefty 5 grand difference. So let's see what you get from that extra cash.
Now, Kia likes to be a bit different. They've not called this an SUV, they've called it sports car-like looks with SUV space.
Now, I agree with SUV space, but the sports car looks, yeah, I'm not 100% convinced. On the new car, it now has sharper headlights and a spaceship-like light bar that joins them together. You'll also notice these new active air ducts which open up and close to keep the battery and electric motor operating at the right temperature.
Now, if we come around here, so it's all very sloped, very coupe-like design. Nice chunky arches all the way across. Door handles that pop out. It's always been a thing with the Kia EV6. The wheels as well. We've got really big 20-inch wheels on this. You can get 19-inch wheels. They get a little bit more range, but I'd go for these ones just because I think they look quite cool. Then if you come around the back, it looks basically the same as the old car. You've still got this swooping LED light that goes away along here. Looks like someone's taken a chunk out of it, but at least it stands out, a bit like its IONIQ 5 sibling. And while we're here, it doesn't have a rear wiper, but it does have this spoiler, which is specifically designed to funnel the air through here that essentially flushes the water out down there. It's not the biggest rear windscreen, but it's not too bad, and it does have some 360-degree cameras that work really well. So when you're parking or maneuvering around tight spaces, you don't have any issues.
And one of my favourite features of the EV6 is the integrated charging port, which hides away neatly underneath the rear light. How cool is that? Speaking of, let's see how fast it can charge.
Now, if you want to benefit from these higher charging speeds of the facelifted EV6, you need to come to something like this. It's a 360 kilowatt grid serve charger, one of the high power ones, because this car can take 258 kilowatts, which is a lot of power, but you have to find one of these, and it's not always easy because they're normally found on the motorway, but I just use a Cinch charge app. I found it straight away.
Using the nifty Cinch charge app on my phone, I was able to locate my nearest rapid charger, navigate to it, and then use the physical card to tap on the charger and get access to all those tasty kilowatts. It really is as simple as that.
Despite having faster charging rates than before, it still charges between 0 and 80% in about 18 minutes, and that's thanks to its larger battery, which obviously has more range. Or so it should be. See, this car has a 324-mile range, but in the thick of winter, which I have been driving it in, it's been between 0 and 2 degrees. So realistically, I've been getting about 247 miles on a full charge. Now, I've been doing everything right. This car's got a heat pump. I've been driving at 50 miles an hour on the motorway. I've preconditioned the battery, but it's still pretty low. And the average mileage consumption has been about 2.6 miles per kilowatt hour, which in real terms basically is quite poor. It should be closer to 4 kilowatt hours, for example. But why is that? Now, my theory is, obviously, it's cold, it's winter. You can probably see the breath coming off my mouth. My hands are freezing. That's not going to be good for the car. Even like your phone, you know when you use your phone out in the cold and the battery starts to go down a bit more, it's going to be the same for this. And also, WLTP ranges for EVs aren't the kindest. So were we ever going to see that figure? We don't really know. But it was nice to dream. And it's not been too bad.
So fairly promising stuff in the battery and charging department, but what about the changes Kia has made in the cabin?
It does come with some welcome changes over the old one. Firstly, a steering wheel, which is completely redesigned. It kind of fits in with the new design language Kia's going for with its EV9 models. So it's chunky, but not too chunky. It's got nice paddles at the back for the regen, physical buttons, which is really handy. I'm not so keen on the drive mode button. It feels a little bit sticky. I don't know if that's this particular car or whether all EV6s are like that, but I don't know, it doesn't feel that great. And they've also finally got rid of that horrible piano black material. It looked great, it looked really shiny when it was fresh out the factory, but as soon as the little kids were touching it with their fingers, it got really smudgy, really scratched. It was quite grim. But now it's lovely smooth material like you get on the new iPhones, for example. It just feels really nice and yeah, much smarter. Now I'll touch on my favorite feature in a bit, but for now let's talk about the screens. In the center you get a 12.3-inch slightly curved display, which means when you're touching it, it's really easy. You don't need to reach too far and it kind of avoids any glare. The screen itself is really crisp, really easy to use, but most of the time you're probably going to use CarPlay or Android Auto, right? So it doesn't really matter too much. Now this is really quite a high-tech cabin. Everything's really quick, responsive, high-res. It feels like a spaceship almost. And finally, Kia has listened to what people actually want and they've added physical climate controls. So you've got these little dials here, they're really easy to use. All you have to do, turn your temperature up, turn it down. Instead of menu diving for ages, you just do it on there. And it's got all the various adjustments as well, air conditioning, the fan speed, and it's also, if you click a little toggle, you can go through different modes. You can go and see your maps, your media and everything else. So it's a really nifty little screen, a bit like Peugeot's iToggle system, but a little bit better integrated, I think. And now for my favorite feature. Now you really want to pay attention to this one. So it's an actual fingerprint scanner, you know, like you used to get on old iPhones. So all you have to do, get in the car. If your phone is connected via the app to the car, you don't need your key. And all you have to do is press your finger like that, and it knows who you are. It moves your seat to the position you usually sit in from your driver profile, and you can drive off without the key. And it's also more secure, so if someone is to try and nick your car, they haven't got your finger, hopefully. And then when you charge your phone, you simply just place it on the wireless charging mat like that. There's not vented, so your phone will get quite hot, so you might want to take it off on longer journeys. But if you do need to, and you still need to charge your phone, there are 2 USB-C ports there and another hidden one under a flap there. You're not going to run out of charge in this car. And then that brings me on to the seats. So they're really comfortable seats. You've got lumbar support down the side. They're all electrically adjustable. Both front seats are. They're also ventilated seats, so they're cooled, and they're heated seats as well. 3-stage for both. That's pretty nice. The only issue I have is that I'm quite tall, and in electric cars, I always struggle because the batteries obviously are underneath the car on the floor, so you don't actually sit very low. So I've had to tilt my seat right the way back, and I've even had to lean back like this as well, proper gangster style. So when I'm driving, my arms are probably straighter than I'd like them to be. I can still see fine over the top, but it's something worth noting if you're over 6 foot. So annoyingly, the sunroof actually eats into your headroom a little bit because it does sit down quite far, and that is because of the raked windscreen that goes all the way up here. Now that does serve a purpose, which we'll get onto later, but it does mean that there's not that much light in the cabin because it's not a full panoramic sunroof, and yeah, it does eat into your headroom a bit. Now, while there isn't much space for the driver themselves, you do get loads of practicality in the front. So you've got big door bins down here, cup holders here. You can easily fit 2 decently sized bottles in there. Really deep armrests as well. You can fit a full bottle in there. Could probably even get 2 in there if I tried. And then down here, you've got loads of space. You've got space for a couple bottles, bags, sweets, shoes, whatever stuff your kids throw at you. You can just put it down there. Loads of space down there, and you even get little hooks here to hang your bags on or whatever you need to. And then the glove box itself is huge. You could put a couple of those bottles in there. You've got space for your documents down there. So the space in the front is really good, and it's the same in the back as well. Now, my usual gripe sat in the back of electric cars is the really high floors that they tend to have. It's actually okay in here. I can put my feet under the seat. My seat is tilted back in my driving position, so I'm not going to have as much space as other people, perhaps. But I can sit comfortably. I could probably be here on a long journey absolutely fine. Headroom isn't the best because of the coupe-like design, but I can live with it, especially on a shorter journey. And if it's a longer motorway journey, I'll just have to lie down a little bit, or there'll be a shorter driver, so it'll be okay. Now, in the front seats, you get charging ports on either side, USB-C, which are great for rear seat passengers. Keep them occupied on longer journeys. Normally, you'd have vents down there for your air conditioning. This car doesn't have them because they put them here on the sides, so it actually directs at you instead of pointing at your feet, which isn't very fun. And you get plenty of storage down here to put books, papers, maps. Does anyone have maps anymore? Probably not, but you could do. You could easily put them down there. Now the seats themselves, you could probably fit 3 people in a row. On shorter journeys, definitely. It's got ISOFIX, which is brilliant. In the middle here, you've got an armrest, folds down, which got a little bit of adjustability. It's got a ski hatch as well, which no one really uses for skis anymore, but you could, put longer items through there. And a little, slide this forward, got a little place for your drinks as well, or slide it that way. You can put phones and stuff. Now, the seats are also heated in the back, which is very fancy on this GT Line S model. So it's got 2-stage heated seats. You just have to do it on the door right there next to the windows that go all the way down. And yeah, it's really nice. Plus, if for rear seat passengers, if you are on a longer journey, you can recline ever so slightly, but it does make a massive difference, especially with headroom, if you're of a certain height. Right, let's talk about this boot. So just like the rear seats fold back a bit, these are very simple. Just a lever there, they've got quick release for both seats, so it gets more boot space. Admittedly, I can't remember what the boot space is when those are down, but when they're up, you get 490 litres in the boot. 480 litres, so 10 litres less if you have the upgraded speaker system, because there's a speaker under there. Now the IONIQ 5 gets 520 litres, which is significantly more than what you get in this car. But this car does have nifty other bits of storage. So under here, you've got a little bit more space. It's not much, but you've got space for your cables, your vehicle to load plug, all that sort of stuff. And then it moves around, all that sort of stuff. It works. I've broken it now, there we go. It's in, and it works well. Put that down, and it's even got space for this, the parcel shelf. If you open it up, you can easily slot that in there. That is quite rare on modern cars. And on a side note, this boot does something pretty weird, and I don't understand it. Maybe you can help me at home. So, if you fold it like this, the boot floor, and then slide it up like that, Kia has made it do this, and I have absolutely no idea why. If you can tell me why, that would be great. It's kind of like a little cove in there. You're not going to put a cat in there, that would be rude. And you can't put, you maybe put baguette or something down there. No one really knows. But it's a bit fiddly, and when it works, no one knows why it works. So if you know, let us know. Now, while boot space at the back is pretty decent, let's see what the front is like, or fruit, however you want to say it. So open it like that. Now, this all-wheel drive version has about 20 litres of space, which isn't much. The rear-wheel drive gets about 54 litres, so it's much more. So if we demonstrate what we can fit in here, I'll open it there. Jamil, throw me these bad boys. These are charging cables. And, you know, if you package it up really neatly and tightly in there, which no one really does, let's be honest, you can just about fit it in there. But otherwise, yeah, there's not much space going on. If this wasn't in the bag, you've got no hope. Now, the EV6 we're in currently is the top spec GT Line S model. Now, this gets 320 horsepower and all-wheel drive, which means it's really confidence-inspiring on these quite greasy, wintry roads. It's also incredibly easy to drive. It's got 4 stages of regenerative braking. So the first 3 are pretty standard, and then the 4th one is Kia's iPedal system. Now, this is really clever because it essentially means you don't need to use the brake. Coming to a stop here, I'm not using the brake at all. And then this 320 horsepower comes in now. It's like 50% throttle in normal mode.
The Kia EV6 also has a number of drive modes. You get normal, sport, the My Drive, which is the personalised option, snow, and of course eco mode if you need to preserve a bit more battery. But to be honest, I've been driving around quite happily in normal mode most of the time, and this seems to be the sweet spot.
And when it comes to parking, it's really easy. So actually, we'll show you the front camera first. Front camera, that's actually moisture. That's not dirt on the lens, that's a little bit of moisture inside the lens. So go back, we'll actually show you the manoeuvrability of this car. And I've got to be honest, it's really good. The cameras are really crisp, which makes up for the lack of rear room at the back. And you can reverse and park next to a car with ease. Just like that. And you can see all the way around the car, so you don't need to worry about that. That is a big win in my books. Now, one of my gripes with modern cars, and it is for many people as well, is the constant bonging. It's all the time. Sometimes the car thinks you're going on a different speed limit than you actually are. So if you're on a motorway, you go over a 20-mile-an-hour road, it'll start banging at you thinking that's the speed you should be going at. That's, you know, that's a little bit annoying, especially when you're on a longer drive. But Kia, instead of menu diving, Kia's been quite clever. And all you have to do, it's a little bit of a secret hack, is hold down the volume button on the steering wheel for a few seconds, wait for the speed limit warning sound is off to come on the screen, and it doesn't bong you anymore. So if you are driving on a motorway and it picks up another road, for example, it thinks you're going a different speed limit, it doesn't bong you anymore. Kia knows what we want. Another annoying thing about electric cars can be the noise you get, because you don't have the engine noise, so you tend to hear the wind noise and tyre noise a little bit more. At motorway speeds, tyre and wind noise is a bit of a concern in this car. You do hear it both. Now, this does have special premium silent tyres on, but I wouldn't say they're that silent really. So that's something to watch out for. You might be able to, they might be better on different tyres, I'm not really sure, but yeah, it is a little bit noisy. Now, this car does come on the larger 20-inch wheels. The damping does a good job of absorbing the bumps in the road, and you know, British roads are useless. It does a pretty good job, but if you're on a really rough piece of road, you do feel it. And this car's not light, right? It's about 2.1, 2.2 tons. That's a lot. Not as much as the new BMW M5, but nothing is.
To combat this, Kia has fitted the new EV6 with some clever chassis control technology to help iron out some of those uneven sections of road. But sometimes you do still feel it, especially when going round a corner on a bumpy B road. But aside from that, it's a really decent electric car to drive, and for most people's commutes, it's going to be just fine. But is this the car to get over the more affordable IONIQ 5?
Overall, I really enjoyed my time with the Kia EV6. It's comfortable, spacious, easy to drive. The only issue is I did have a bit of a problem with range. Admittedly, I'm in the depths of winter, so you know, that is what it is. But compared to its IONIQ 5 sibling, this car is maybe not as good. The IONIQ 5 is cheaper, it has a heat pump as standard. I mean, I can't relate to being the less popular sibling, but if you do, let us know in the comments.